Hello, welcome or welcome back to the Yarn and Yarns YouTube channel. My name is Angela and all the places you can find me should be linked in the description box below this video. Here on the channel you'll find me chatting about my adventures in knitting, spinning, crochet and weaving, all of the fibre related things. Today's video is another of our 12 cast-ons making vlogs. And if you are new to the channel and you're unaware of the 12 cast-ons, it's a little adventure that I undertake at the end of each year going into the beginning of next, where I spend 12 consecutive days casting on 12 new projects to set me up for my year or my year's worth of making. And in the last couple of years I have been following that through with a vlog about each of the projects that I cast on, documenting where and when I get to work on them throughout the history of their life. Once the project's finished, then of course I will publish the vlog. It's the 1st of May 2023 as I'm recording this, and I am about to pick up for the first time a project that I cast on day, day 5 of our Cast-Ons Adventure 2022. And I am going to be working this month on my Carlina sweater, which is a yoke sweater, but it's a slightly sort of longer colourwork pattern, if I remember rightly. It's not an all over colourwork, but I think the colourwork goes down past the armhole split. Maybe I'm remembering it incorrectly. It's been a little while since I checked out the pattern. The pattern was a kind gift from one of our community members, Tracy, and this is where I got to. It's a bit tricky to show because it's rolling up on the needles. There's no neckline as such at the moment, but this is where I got to on day 1 of the project. And so yeah, I'm hoping to put in a few rows on this month. This was a project that was chosen for me to work on by one of our community members, Jane, and I also did a little bit of a dice roll to work on a project that incorporated some orange, and I'm using some beautiful yarn in here from Attic Spin Dye, which has some orangey tones to it. The yarn from Attic Spin Dye was a custom colourway, kindly dyed for me and gifted to me by the lovely Andy and Angela of Attic Spin Dye. They're non-superwash Peruvian Highland base, and I'm pairing that with some of my handspun yarn. It's a very, very deep, almost black purple. It definitely looks kind of black on the screen and almost to eye. It's a gradient from Hilltop Cloud that I spun up and chain plied, and the fibre I got in a swap that I did with my lovely friend Jeanette. So there's lots of kinds of gifting and swapping and lots of lovely memories from my friends and the Yarn and Yarns community going into this project. I'm not sure at this point how much time I'm going to get to work on this month. We have family guests arriving tomorrow and Colorwork's not going to be sort of conducive to working with company and chatting, probably, I don't think. So the next week or so will probably be very light on the progress for this sweater, but our family aren't arriving until tomorrow evening, so I thought I would work on this one this evening. It's bank holiday today here in the UK, an extra day off work, and I thought I'd have tons of making time, but it's been such a lovely day that James and I have spent a fair bit of time outside. So we went for a walk, and yeah, it's just been a nice day, and it's almost 8 o'clock in the evening as I'm chatting and making this introduction. But hey, yay for having daylight at 8 o'clock in the evening. It's more or less disappearing now, but I've got just enough light to record this intro. So yeah, I'm going to be adding a few rows to this after I cook dinner, so it's probably not going to be until 9 o'clock that I actually sit down and add to this. But I thought I'd kick off the vlog and get it started, and then I shall pop back later in the month when I get a little bit more time to concentrate on this, and we shall start charting the journey of this project. I've been really looking forward to getting back to this one because it was working up so nicely on that first day. The colourwork motifs were really shining through. Yes, we shall see how we go. Oh, I should also mention, on the sort of theme of friendship, I've got a progress keeper on here from Judith. Judith sent me a couple of years ago some wooden markers with numbers in that I use for my 12 cast-ons, and then I've got a beginning of round marker here, which is this beautiful ginger cat holding a turquoise ball of yarn, and that was a kind gift from Sarah, who is one of our community members here. So yeah, lots of fabulousness going on here. I've noticed that I've got 2 different needle tips on here, so I'm sure there was a story behind that. Maybe that was all I could find in my needle bag when I started this project. I'll put a link to the cast on video for this project up on the screen somewhere if you fancy going back and finding out about how this project came around in the first place. Before James's sister arrived, I spent a nice afternoon in the sunshine in the garden next to the bluebells. They come and go so quickly. Just had to take the opportunity to add a few rows to Carlina. While James's family were staying with us, we had the opportunity to go out to a few local sites. Here is Ogmore by Sea, which is one of my favourite places of coastline locally. It's a bit difficult to get to without a car though, so we don't go very often. We headed there for early evening time, and there's the ruins of a castle there as well. And I think I just really love the setting of this castle. It's at the end of a bit of a river estuary leading down to the sea. And yeah, it's just such a beautiful setting. As you can see, there are some sheep friends keeping company by the river. We were treated to some lovely, beautiful evening light as we had a look around the castle ruins. Little peek at James's sister and almost James. After their visit to us, we went to stay in Aberystwyth, and the place that you just saw in shot there was where we were staying. There were several holiday cottages grouped together. We were the one on the end with the decking, nestled in the hills just outside of Aberystwyth. We spent a day in Aberystwyth. We went up onto the cliff tops. There's a funicular railway thing up the cliff, which we went up and admired the view. I forgot to take video of that. And we walked all along the promenade in Aberystwyth and more castle ruins. You can just see them coming into shot now. So we had a wander around those, and a really pleasant day in Aberystwyth. We didn't get to explore as much as we might have wanted. We'd definitely go back to the area and explore again. After a day in Aberystwyth, I treated myself to some knitting time on the decking back at the holiday cottage, and yeah, just a beautiful view out over the Cambrian mountains. As I swing the camera around, just over the hill that you can see coming into shot on the left hand side of the screen is Aberystwyth. We can obviously see that from our accommodation. On Sunday we went to this fabulous place called Devil's Bridge, where there are 3 bridges that have been built on top of each other at various points in history. And as you can probably hear, the water rushes under the bridge. There's, with quite some force, was a lovely place to spend a little bit of time. We had lunch at the hotel in Devil's Bridge, and then just up the road is a Forestry Commission site, I think it is, where they have this amazing red kite feeding most days, I think it is. We got there towards the tail end of the feeding time, but it was just amazing to see all of these beautiful birds in flight, swooping down to grab the last of the feast that was laid out for them. I think you may have seen a little bit of footage from our lovely weekend away over in West Wales with our family. It's the 11th of May now as I'm recording this, and the Carlina is actually the only project that I've worked on so far this month. I found that actually, because of the intuitive nature of this colourwork pattern, that I was actually able to knit this in company. I did take this and my litmus cowl away with me when we went away for the weekend, but I ended up just working on this because it's really addictive, and I would really like to get to the point where I'm sort of splitting for the sleeves and the body this month. I'm about 2/3 of the way down the colourwork chart. It's quite a long chart, and I think in the next 10-12 rows or so I may end up needing to have a try at a new colourwork technique that I haven't tried before. There are some bits in this pattern at the bottom of the colourwork chart. There are some quite long sections of one colour, so at the moment I'm knitting, you know, every few stitches I'm changing colour, but as we get down the bottom the colour work starts to end up a little bit more like this pattern at the top, but there is a bigger gap in between each motif. And because I'm using a really dark colour, although I should be maybe going into the lighter purple soon, I think maybe in a few rows time I can see some of the lighter purple peeking through. Because I've got quite a big contrast between these two colours, I don't really want to catch my floats, because I feel like if you catch your floats in the traditional way, they start sort of showing through on the front, so I want to try and avoid that if I can. So I think I'm going to have a go at doing the jacquard technique, the ladder back jacquard, for the bottom of this colour work and see how I get on with that. So that'll be something new to concentrate on. But I've got a few more rows to do before I get to that. But I've made quite good progress on this so far, given there's been sort of 10 days so far in this month. We've done a lot of family stuff, so I've not had as much knitting time as I usually would by this point in the month. I've still managed to knit from here, where my finger is up here. I've got my marker down to here on the Carlina. So yeah, my handspun yarn is a little bit thicker than the lovely background yarn that I'm using, the Attic Spin Dye yarn. So my colour work in places is not as defined, but I'm totally okay with that. I had this the same on my Ultra sweater that I knit recently, and while the difference between the two yarns that I used on the Ultra was quite marked, and this isn't quite the same, but in places there are definitely a difference. It makes the colour work look slightly 3D in places, but as I say, I'm happy with that. And in some of these portions where the motifs are quite small, not all of the stitches kind of peek through in as defined a way as they do in the original pattern, but I'm more than happy with how this is coming along so far. I really would like to get to the sleeve split by the end of the month so I can try it on and make sure it's going to fit okay. I hope I'm not going to have a repeat of the mid-coast sweater I had earlier on in the year, where I knit the whole yoke and then it doesn't really fit properly. But I'm hoping I can avoid that with this one, but time will tell. It's the 25th of May and we're rapidly running towards the end of the month. I've got about 20 rows of my colour work left. I can't remember when I last checked in, because I've been procrastinating on this project for a few days at least. I've got to the point in the colour work chart where I really need to start thinking about putting in the extra stitches if I'm going to do the ladder back jacquard technique, because my floats in some of these places are going to get really long. So yeah, I've been kind of putting it off, but I think now that I've checked in with you, there's no excuse. I just need to push through, figure out what I'm doing and get this yoke finished. We've got a bank holiday weekend coming up here, so I'm hoping that will be enough to get me to the point where I wanted to be on this project by the end of this month, which was at the point where I've finished the yoke and can split for the sleeves and sort of try it on. I've just rolled the dice for my June making, and I've picked 4 sweaters to knit during the month of June. My plan is to work 1 week on each of the sweater projects that I've picked to see how far I can progress them, and the Carlina is one of the projects that I've picked, so I've got at least 1 more week of work to come on this next month. But it'd be nice to push through and get the yoke done so that when I pick this up next month, hopefully I'll just be on round and round knitting. There's just a couple of days left in May now. Apologies for the dodgy angle of the camera. I'm outside, as you can probably see from the blue skies behind me, sat under the garden umbrella. Been trying my best to make some progress on the Carlina. Hopefully you can see I've got a little bit further with the colour work. I've got about 10 rows left of the colour work, and I've started employing the ladder back jacquard technique. If you can see here, this sort of laddering of the stitches. It's the first time I'm using this technique. You can see here the difference between just the normal stranded and the ladder back, I think. Hopefully you can see that. And it's actually a much easier technique than I had made it out in my head, as they quite often are. It's a technique I've been aware of for quite some number of years. I think I first heard Emily of Fibertown talking about it. I don't know if Emily's podcasting at the moment. I haven't seen any of her videos. I'll have to go and take a look. Oops. And more recently, I know that the lovely Caroline of Colourful Creativity has used it on some pairs of socks that she's knitted, so I thought it was high time to give it a go, and particularly in this bit of the colour work. here where the floats are getting really long. Not a tutorial, but I thought you might like to see what I'm doing with the ladder back jacquard. I'm about to add in a new stitch because my float's getting really long, so I'm getting to the point where I need to put the stitch in, and then I'm going to bring my working yarn through the needles to the front, and I'm picking up the leg of a stitch below, knitting that with the contrast colour yarn, and then taking my working yarn back behind the work again. And then when I come to those stitches in the future, I just repeat that process. I bring my working yarn through to the front between the needles, knit the extra stitch with the contrast yarn that creates the ladder at the back, and then I take my working yarn back through the needles and to the back of the work again. Just continue to do that on each round. Very last day of May, and I'm happy to say that I have just managed to get to the point where in the pattern it recommends that you separate out for the sleeves and the body, and so I have done that, and I've put my Carlina, it's a bit tricky to share it with you, I've put my Carlina onto some cables and I'm going to block it. So well, when I say block it, I'm going to soak it to try and relax the colour work a little bit. Then I shall try it on for fit. That will be the next exciting step. And the other exciting news from the perspective of the Carlina is that in June it's going to be a little bit of an unofficial month of sweaters here in Yarn and Yarns land, because I've rolled the dice for my June project and I ended up picking 4 sweaters. And the Carlina is actually one of them that I wanted to carry on working on. In the next couple of days we've got some really nice weather at the moment, so I'm hoping to soak this tomorrow and get it dried, and I can try it on and make sure that I'm happy with how the yoke's fitting. I think it's going to be fine. I'm quite excited about this one. My yoke has soaked and is dried in the sun, so moment of truth is I get to try it on for the first time, just to check to see if I'm liking the fit. It's always a bit nerve-wracking doing this, especially after the mid-coast when that fit was just not what I wanted. Actually, it's looking pretty good. Let me angle the camera down slightly and step back. Yeah, I like it. It's got a good amount of positive ease as per the pattern. The neck's a little bit wide, but I prefer a slightly wider neck than not, and I've still got to pick up and bind off for the actual neckline, so that might get brought in a little bit. Yeah, it's looking good. I'm super pleased. Oh, this is just such a stunning colourwork pattern, isn't it? Just the sort of graphic nature of these big bold motifs, just amazing. Love it. That was pretty good going for May making, I think, making sure that my yoke was finished. You can see my marker hanging out here, which is where the project was when I picked it up. So I did loads of knitting in May, which is fab. I can pop this back on the needles now and start working on it again soon, because I'm just trying to slip my arm out of the sweater there. It's really warm here in South Wales today. Hottest day of the year so far. It's going to get up to 25 degrees a little bit later. Anyway, You're not here for a weather forecast, especially not an outdated weather forecast by the time this goes up. June, which is the month we are currently in, is turning out to be Jumper June here in the Yarn and Yarns headquarters, because I rolled the dice for my making plans and I ended up picking out 4 sweater projects, including the Carlina. My plan is to work 1 week on each of the sweaters that I've picked out. I'm just about to start week 2, so I'm currently working on something else, but I think I will probably save Carlina till the last week of the month, because I think there's a chance we're going to be going away for a few days at the end of the month. Because I'm pretty much going to be on the round and round knitting, this will be a perfect sort of project to take just for some mindless knitting when we're not at home. What I may do in the meantime is to pick up for the neck and bind off. And I had a look at the pattern for the short sleeve version the other day, and you basically just pop these stitches back on needles. I think you knit a row or 2 and then bind off again as well for the short sleeve version. And I'm definitely going to be doing the short sleeve version. I don't think I'm going to have enough yarn to do a longer sleeve version, so yeah, I might sneak in a little bit of work on this over the next week or so just to get the neck and the sleeves finished, and then it truly will be just round and round knitting for the body. Quite remember the last time I checked in for this vlog. It may have only been a few days ago, a couple of weeks ago, I'm not sure. I think I recorded a little bit at the end of last month. It's now the 18th, 19th of June, something like that. I'm picking up this project and I have been working on it a little bit over the last couple of evenings. So there, here is where the split for the body and the sleeves is. So I've knit a couple of inches down the body. We're about to go away for a few days. It's James's birthday at the end of this week. He is half a century old this year. I don't know if he will appreciate me telling you that. I'm sure he doesn't really care. So yeah, we're going away for a few days to celebrate. We're just going to West Wales. We were hoping to do a bigger trip, but we've got James's grandma's funeral to go to the following week, so we're just going to take a few days away for ourselves, and then later on in the year we'll hopefully do a bigger trip to sort of mark the occasion and celebrate. I would like to take this project away with me because at the moment I'm just round and round knitting. I've got 2 skeins more or less, slightly less than 2 left now. So what I want to do in the next couple of evenings before we head away, it's Monday now and we're going away on Wednesday, is I hope to pop back in and do the sleeves, which having looked at the pattern instructions for the short sleeves, is literally put these stitches back live on a needle, knit a row and then bind off. So it's got a sort of rolled hem, and I want to do the same on the neckline as well, and I believe it's a rolled hem for the neckline. I'd like to try and get those done, the 2 sleeves and the neckline, which I think should be possible. It's just particularly for the neckline a lot of picking up stitches, and there might be some finagling to do because I'm not always a fan of a rolled neck with colourwork, especially colourwork where it's very close to sort of the start of the stitches, which it is in this case. So there could be a couple of attempts before I get it right. If I can get that done and I like the fit, then I know I'm just round and round until the yarn runs out then, or until the sweater gets to the length that I want it to be. I'm not sure when the last time I checked in for this vlog was. I've kind of lost all track of my vlogs at the minute. As I'm recording this, it's the beginning of August and I've just been over on my Patreon sort of channel. I've been recording lots of different posts for July for the Tour de Fleece. So I've had those going on, and I've also, of course, got my ongoing vlogs where I'm working on various different projects. So my brain is all in a spin. I have no concept of where I am for all of the different vlogs that I'm in the midst of at the moment. However, I have recently rolled the dice for working on my August projects, and so I'm hoping to make some more progress on the Carlina. August is my birthday month. I'm not sure obviously when this video will go up, but if you happened to be watching my August content, you might know that I want to celebrate my birthday month by casting on a few projects. You've met me, right? However, I would also like to curtail my enthusiasm a little bit by finishing one or two things, and I've got one, maybe two sweaters that I'd like to cast on this month. But I think what I'm going to do is try for the first couple of weeks to work on my works in progress. If I can finish at least one of the two bigger projects that I've picked to work out in August, then I will treat myself to two new cast-ons. So there'll definitely be one sweater cast on, but if I can get two projects off the needles, there'll be two sweater cast-ons. So that's kind of like my driving motivation at the moment. Thought I'd just share with you where I am with the Carlina, because I haven't remembered when the last time I've checked in was. I have just got the body to go now. I've done the short sleeve version, so the sleeves are done. I have bound off for the neckline. I think you just pick up the stitches and cast off again. Yeah, all I've got to do is just round and round knitting until either the sweater is as long as I want it to be or my yarn runs out, whichever comes first. Let's see how we get on this month. It'd be really nice to have a finished sweater in my birthday month, so keep everything crossed for me. It's the middle of August and I have been working away on and off on my Carlina. I've been feeling quite motivated to get this finished, or almost finished, because I've been really looking forward to a birthday cast on. It's my birthday tomorrow as I'm recording this, and so I told myself if I made some good progress on a couple of the works in progress that I've been knitting away on this month, that I would feel a bit more relaxed about adding another project to my list. This marker here shows where I was at the beginning of the month, so a couple of weeks ago, and here is where I'm at, and I'm about 10 rows away from my sweater being the length as recommended in the pattern. My plan is to knit those 10 rows and try it on and then see where I'm at. Do I want to carry on and knit the sort of band at the bottom as per the pattern, or do I need to add a little bit of extra length? These rows are quite long and it's 4-ply yarn, lots of stitches. I feel like it takes me a little while to get through one row, and I'm at that point where, because I know I'm close to the length that I want it to be, if I'm not careful I will stop every row and get my measuring tape out and just slow myself down. So what I've done to try and stop me procrastinating in that way is I've figured out I need to knit about 10 rows to get to the length that I want to be at. So I've added 10 of these bulb stitch markers to my beginning of round marker, and so instead of stopping and pulling out the measuring tape each time I get round to my beginning of round marker, I'm going to just remove one of these and keep track of my 10 rows that way. I know it's maybe a little bit off the wall, but I'm hoping it will work for me and it will make these 10 rows a quicker experience than they might otherwise be. I don't think I'm going to get 10 rows done today. I think I've been averaging about 3 or 4 a night. Maybe I'll work on this to the exclusion of everything else this evening so that I can enter into my birthday cast on tomorrow in the knowledge that this is hopefully almost finished. We'll see. I guess you'll find out what happens next in just a moment. Well, hey friends, can you see? It's done. Of course you can see. My Carlina is finished. I will try and get a few shots at some point before I edit and upload this video to share how this looks. It's finished. It's finished. What else can I say? Other than I am in love with this little sweater. I didn't quite manage to finish it before my birthday. I think the last clip I recorded was the day before my birthday, and I was going to try and push through and get this finished before I cast on a new sweater for my birthday, and that didn't get done because the rows at that point were quite long, and I think I still had the bottom border to do as well, so I was pushing things a little bit. But I did manage to get it finished a couple of days after my birthday. It's now a few days into September as I'm recording this, because time was by. I wanted to block the sweater and then I needed to sew in some ends and things like that, and you know how it goes, time passes and you don't know where it's gone. Yeah, I'm so thrilled with this sweater. It has, I will lift the sweater up because I'm not going to flash you anything, I don't think. Thanks to this camera angle. It's got a nice sort of garter stitch border on the bottom instead of a rib, which is great. I really enjoy the fit of this. It's got a little bit of positive ease, but not too oversized. The yoke turned out beautifully. The Attic Spin Dye yarn was a joy to work with. So just as a little recap, the yoke I knit in my own hand spun, which was a gradient fibre. I think it was a Shetland and silk mix potentially, can't remember offhand now, but it was from Hilltop Cloud. It's a very subtle gradient. It's a really deep purple down to a lighter purple, and I still have some of the yarn left, which I'm not quite sure where it is at the moment. So again, I'll try and pop in a little shot showing what I have left of my yarns. I started off with, I think with 120 or 150 grams of the hand spun. And then I had 300 grams of this beautiful background colour, which was kindly gifted to me for my birthday a couple of years ago by the wonderful Andy and Angela from Attic Spin Dye. And this is a non-superwash base, and Andy dyed this for me, named it Angie's Foxy Mix. And I have a little bit of this yarn left as well. So actually I'm going to angle the camera down slightly, so just so you can see the length of the sleeves. I did decide to go with a short sleeve sweater for this because I knew I wouldn't have enough yarn to make it long sleeve, but I do have a reasonable amount of this Attic Spin Dye colourway left. So if I wanted to extend the sleeves, I might get away with making a 3/4 length sleeve, but I think I'm going to leave the sweater like this for the time being. See how I enjoy wearing it, and then I can always go back and adjust the sleeves later if I find that I do want a longer sleeve. But I think this is going to be a perfect transitional piece. The non-superwash nature of this yarn makes it pretty warm, so I think through sort of autumn and spring I can probably wear it sort of bare sleeved like this, like I am today. It's a reasonably warm day here in South Wales, although we don't have the sunshine and the heat that we have recently been having. It's around 20-ish degrees I think today, maybe slightly warmer. I'm feeling pretty comfortable in this at the moment, so it's warm but not overly so. I think it'll be one of those that kind of traps the heat as you wear it. That non sort of superwash wool tends to do that, so I think in colder temperatures it will be perfect as well, even without anything on underneath. But as the temperatures dip, I can definitely see myself wearing this with a longer sleeve t-shirt underneath. On my sort of long sleeve sweaters, I do tend to find myself sort of pushing the sleeves up anyway, so I think just in terms of versatility and how I wear my sweaters, you know, I love a shorter sleeve, so yeah, I think this is going to get plenty of wear. I really like the length that I knit it to, and yeah, it was just a really overall fun pattern. This Colorwork yoke is just so beautiful. It really is lovely. I love how the neckline turned out. I think there was a sort of point in this video where I hadn't yet picked up all the neck sleeves and the neckline was looking quite wide. I think if I remember rightly, literally you just pick up your stitches and then pretty much bind off again. I'm not even sure if you really do any knitting in between, but that's just cinched the neckline in really to the perfect kind of round neck for me. It's not too large, you know, it's not hanging off my shoulders, but it's not up and choking me either, which, yeah, you know, I've had, if you've been watching for a while, you might remember I've had various issues with necklines in the past, but this to me is just that perfection, that middle ground. And because the main colour of this yarn is a non-superwash, hopefully it's not going to kind of stretch out and bag out as much as superwash yarns tend to do over time. I don't think I've got anything else to say. I'm kind of babbling a little bit because it has been a few weeks since I finished this, and so the sort of project in the knit is not as fresh in my mind as I maybe would have liked. I like to try and give my thoughts on patterns and yarns and things, but I think I've summarised everything that I would have liked to have remembered to tell you anyway. But if you do have any questions about the patterns or the yarns or anything like that, then, you know, pop them down in the comments. I'll be happy to do my best to help. I can thoroughly recommend this pattern. I can highly recommend any yarns from Attic Spin Dye. I'm not sure if they've got much in the way of non-superwash at the moment, but I haven't checked on their shop for a little while. It's dangerous if I go on the shop because I always end up filling my basket up. So yeah, go and check them out. Regardless, their colourways are always beautiful, beautiful. So yeah, as I say, I couldn't be happier. Can I say that any more times? I'm really happy with the fact that this hasn't taken me forever and a day. I mean, I did start it back for our 12 cast-ons at the beginning of the year. We're in August and I finished, which is not bad going for me because, again, if you watched the channel for any length of time, you know that I tend not to work on one project from finish to end. I'm always dipping in and out of various projects. So to have a sweater finished in a few months, okay, 8, but a few months is really not too bad for me at all. I hope you have enjoyed this little vlog. I certainly have enjoyed this knit immensely. So let me know, have you knit a Carlina? Are you tempted? Do you have a favourite Colorwork yoke pattern? I'm always really enamoured with lots of different yoke patterns. They don't always work as well as this one in terms of fit for me, but this one has just, yeah, worked out just perfectly. Chef's kiss for the design, and kudos to the designer for their grading on this one, because not every yoke and the way that yoke increases work suit my body shape or work out for my body shape. So yeah, this one has, yeah, can you tell? Can you tell I'm happy? Can you tell? But yeah, do let me know your favourite yoke patterns if you have any, or let me know what you've been working on recently, sweater wise, sock wise, anywise, just yeah, chat to me below. I love to hear from you. I will be back again soon with some more making content. Even though we're quite a few days into September, I need to record my August making wrap up. It's been a weird start to my month, so I'm feeling a little bit behind. So I think that may be the next video that's coming up here on the channel. So I hope you will stick around and tune in for that next one. But until we do get to spend time together again, I hope you get to do some of the things that you enjoy. Great big woolly hugs to you all. Bye for now. Bye.